Hi, I'm Ryan Malyar, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Arts for the Masses. The arts are alive in Massachusetts, and I'm so delighted to be able to deliver them right to you. So summer is just around the corner, and parents are finalizing all those summer plans to keep their young people and their teenagers busy. And my guest today is from a really unique sleepaway camp in Charlton, Massachusetts, where you not only get to unplug from technology, which I'm sure every parent wants to see their kid put away the iPad and put away the phone for the summer, but they get to make new friends and fully immerse themselves in a world of mystery and magic and thrilling quests. From the Story School and Camp Fable, I have Executive Director Chris Wiley. How's that intro?
That's perfect. Thanks for having me on, by the way. It's fantastic to talk to people at camp.
Excellent. So, of course, I don't know how this was popping up in my Facebook feed, but I think it was just sort of a kismet thing because this just sounded really unique and different than any of the other camps and offerings I see offered anywhere, really. And I know a lot of great theater camps, but this takes some elements of theater camps and some elements of traditional camp and blends it all together into a LARPing adventure. So what is LARPing for our uninformed viewers?
Well, we like to call ourselves an EduLARP camp, which I say is a bunch of letters to just say we teach through stories. So LARPing is live action role play. It's taking the idea, D&D is sweeping the nation right now. It's been in the zeitgeist for so long. So I compare it to that, where you are building a character and playing a game with your friends. It's this collaborative storytelling where you have one person who has the idea for the story, but every participant gets to add to it and decide what they want to do, and then there's consequences. LARP takes that from the table and puts you into the character. You are in person, you're grabbing your foam sword. We say that there is a dragon, we call it WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. It is a dragon. We have somebody on stilts with a big cape of wings coming in to attack these heroes. And so you get this amazing amount of immersion. And LARP is what we all do. Everybody, if you ever picked up a stick in the woods, pretended it was a sword, you know what LARP is, you've done it at some point in time. We just take that and try to take it to the next level by really letting these kids immerse themselves in the story, lose themselves in this fantasy where they can be more than just a kid.
So what age range are we bringing into this camp?
So we start at ages 8. It's like you said, it's a sleepaway camp, and we go all the way up to age 17 for our teens. What we have found is that even though our age range is very, very widespread, every kid who's coming to camp is coming because they are a nerd, because they love the idea of telling this story together, and so the ages melt away. And we do that even better by giving them these adventuring parties. So don't want to get too much into things too quickly, but I do love our adventuring parties. We have these groups the kids get to self-select themselves to go into. You can be an Order of the Fox, an explorer, an Order of the Kraken, loving solving puzzles, an Order of the Swan, a role player, or the Order of the Bees, which are just our swarming, attacking, destroy every monster that's out there. And so the 8 to 17, when you give them this category of how do I want to play the game, absolutely melts away. You have an 8-year-old and a 17-year-old rushing the battle, respecting each other at the same level because all they want to do is attack that monster.
And on top of all of this fun role play, you have some really excellent tenets of character that are really important in establishing how everyone interacts with each other. What are those tenets of a hero?
You got to learn a couple words to be a hero at camp. First one is huzzah. That's a celebration of victory.
Huzzah!
Yeah, huzzah! And then you have courage, valor, and empathy. Courage is, we tell kids, it's not the absence of fear. It's seeing something new, whether it be a creature at camp or a new friend you might be making, and embracing that idea of the unknown and still taking that step forward. Not the absence of fear, but confronting the fear. Valor is your honor, is your character, is that aspect of who are you when you're confronted with a problem? And who are you when you're not confronted? And are those the same people, same person? How can we help you develop those skills? And so we like to say, LARP camp builds characters. The kids make characters, but they're also building up who they are inside. And then empathy is what the world needs more than anything else. It's being able to put yourself in someone else's place and try to understand and appreciate their different mindsets than your own. And they either do this through creating a character that's not them and getting to explore who would I be if I was this person, or looking at the kids next to them, looking at the counselors next to them, going, I want to know more about this person. How can I be part of this group, be part of this community? And so I honestly believe however much fun courage is at LARP camp and how much fun it is to have like this honorable code you live by, it's that empathy and connection that matter the most.
Amazing. So you have these amazing sort of style guides, these mini novellas on the website. They're taken right out of the pages of a fantasy novel that explain the world that you've created. Tell me about this world. Let me into your secret place.
Well, everybody has their own Roman Empire, like the thing you talk about all the time. Our Roman Empire as nerds, especially English nerds, is the Library of Alexandria. And the fact that it got lost and destroyed over time. In our world, it was never lost. It got transported to a magical realm. And the beauty of it is that every single work of literature that was ever written or will ever be written comes to life in the library. The problem is every single work has come to life inside the library. So the library calls heroes to help find these rogue characters and pieces of ink come to life and make sure they stay in the library and don't escape into the world. So you don't have Moriarty running off into the world and trying to destroy it. You don't have Captain Hook finally able to leave his storybook. So all these kids get to come in and create a heroic character that can be from any work of literature, any piece of history, or a creation of their own. And they are all bound together by an experience where they step through. We have these giant like prop books we put up like gates, and they step under and through these books to enter into the library and enter into that contract of, I am here to preserve knowledge and information and to prevent the enemies of that from getting out into the world.
So how is all of this information relayed to these new heroes?
We have an opening ceremony. They put on their costumes. So Sunday is a check-in day for us. They come in, they have lunch with us. They learn all about the campgrounds, the rules of how we behave as campers. And then we take them through the world and the story. We ask them to put the costume on, step through the book gate. And as they step through, we tell them the legend of all that's come before. There have been a line of heroes that came before you who did the service, and there will be a line of heroes that comes after you who will continue your good deeds. But here and now, you are the hero of the moment. It is your job to help us protect the library and save it from enemies without and enemies within. And then that first day, they get to jump into a adventuring party, decide if they're going to be an Order of the Fox, an explorer, an Order of the Kraken, a puzzle solver, Order of the Swan, a role player, or an Order of the Bees, a monster slayer. And they divided these groups, and those groups then, now that we have a small group of them, take them through their individual missions, take them through how they swing their sword, what their powers are, what they can do. And then we take it one more step further. So after they get the world, so they enter the book gate, after they pick their adventuring party, the next piece is one of my favorites because I'm an educator at heart. They get to choose a chapter house, which is their career in the world. Are they a fighter, a mage, a healer, alchemist, or a rogue? And whatever choice they make, every time they want to level up, they go to their chapter house. And each skill they learn, fighter learns how to maim their opponent, an alchemist learns how to poison, a healer learns how to heal. All of these lessons are one-to-one real-world skills. Alchemists learn chemistry. Healers learn real-world first aid CPR. Mages learn about electricity. Can't cast a lightning bolt if you don't know how electricity works. Rogues learn how to use the shadows and camouflage and how refracting light can hide yourself. And you have these 8-year-olds who are so invested in the story and so invested in their character, they are reading lesson plans ahead to things we wrote for the 17-year-olds because they want to level up even further. It is education by choice, education by curiosity. And I think if I ever really tell people what LARP is and why it matters, it is the freedom of choice and having consequences to your choices that you get to live through a story. So you get to learn from your mistakes. You get to learn from all the wonderful characters you interact with. But because you're a character, Those mistakes don't stick with you. I like to say you can distance yourself from the mistake. It wasn't you. It was Cedric the Dragon. He's the one who made that mistake. But when Cedric the Dragon succeeds, we get to come up and be like, that was you all along.
But it's amazing how being motivated in the game is able to motivate these STEM activities that are so educational without them not even really knowing it sometimes, you know?
We learn through stories. You go back
Every single school every day. If only, you know, to be motivated to finish this math problem because of a dragon coming after you, you know? It's so special.
It's a great motivation. Like I said, since caveman days, we've been painting pictures of mammoth bad, don't get underfoot. It's a story, and it teaches you a life lesson. And we just keep doing that. And I think sometimes we lose that ability to play and imagine and immerse ourselves as we get into adulthood. Not me, I can still play.
Yep.
But I think it's very important to remind the kids that's how we learn best, is when you are living immersed and in your imagination and playing.
So when campers arrive, do they already have characters that they've sort of established for themselves and costumes that they bring with them? Or do you help them along that process to figure out who this persona is that they're taking on?
So we give them a lot of, like we were bragging about our little manuals online.
Yes.
We give them all these manuals. They can read through if they want to get a sense, because we like to make sure all of our anxious kids have as much information as possible. But all the ones who want to go in blind on that first day, you'll take them through everything they need to know and help them choose what kind of hero they are. And those choices can change. They're not locked in. We like to be flexible, like them be able to figure out, I'm not quite the fighter I thought I was. I'm actually more of a mage. Like, oh, great, self-discovery, self-knowledge. But their costumes are their own. And the amount and variety of costumes we get, I like to tell everyone, price is not a barrier to playing your character. You can take Dad's old t-shirt, put it on with a belt, and you're in a medieval tunic.
You're good to go.
But we have some that come in with full plate armor who, like, first day of July 1st, decide, maybe not the full plate.
Maybe that's a little too hot. Maybe, yeah.
But the simplest, most creative costume that still sticks with me today, we had a kid who built a character that was a blacksmith. And all it was this apron that he put on. And that moment of putting his head through the apron, you could see his eyes light up, and he was that character. It didn't matter what else he was wearing. So we told everybody, you just need one thing that helps you immerse and feel like you're part of that character, whether it be a silly little hat, a little bracer, or just whatever it is that you feel yourself drawn to. And it's the first point of creativity for the kids.
Now, you spoke about when they go through these doors, and that's sort of that transition period where they turn into these characters. But you're at camp for a long time. Are some kids, how long is the camp? 1 week, 2 weeks?
It is a 2-week program. We have Sunday check-in, and then you're checking out the next Friday after the weekend.
So are some of these heroes staying in character the whole time and going to bed in old-fashioned nightgowns? Or are they able to step in and out of the characters as they go through those magical gates?
We like to brag we are an outdoor camp for indoor kids. So we know that they need a break. We know that they need a little bit of reset time. There are some kids, if we gave them the ability to do it, would be in character from day one to the last. Not even the last day. They would stay at home. The parents would be calling us, telling us, all right, how do I get Cedric to brush his teeth? Because he claims heroes don't brush their teeth.
And he's still speaking in this weird Victorian Shakespearean dialect. How do we break him of that?
It's great. The kids taking their characters with them, it's very powerful. Yeah. But to help make sure the kids have a reset point, we have a bell that rings after breakfast at 9:30 that basically tells them the game has started. And that's when they can go full into character, full into the role play, whatever accent they want to use. One kid played 3 goblins in a trench coat. So he had a mask sticking out from his trench coat and a mask on up here, was just the clumsiest character. But after we get through dinner, we have the bell happen again, and it signals game off. You get to go back into yourself, because we want to make sure the connections these kids build are not just in character. We want to help them transfer those skills in character to out of character, so that they get to make their friends in the evening. We have D&D games that pop up like mushrooms in the night. You can't stop them from rolling dice. They get chances to do traditional camp activities, campfires, s'mores, all these wonderful things that as a kid I loved as camp.
Some skits at night,
Oh,
some
yeah.
sing-alongs.
They do a little jingle off and sing along where they get to pick like a minute of music that they have to try and act out as best they can.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And so they get to have that decompression time for the character, which is great for the transference of saying if the skills you learned in game can also be used out of game. And then the next morning, 9 o'clock, bell rings, you're back in it.
So you must have a pretty diverse and unique team gathered that are able to, as adults or teenagers, whoever you've assembled as counselors and assistants, to live in this world so openly and freely as well. Tell me about the people that you're able to gather for this team. It sounds like it's a large undertaking.
Yeah, we we are not like traditional camps. We have our counselors, we have our admins, but we also have our program staff as our story writers, the people who actually come up with the story. These poor people, every single night at camp, they have to rewrite the story based on the kids' action. We let them change every aspect of the story. So they are up to like midnight rewriting the story, but it's what they love to do. So we have our storytellers, we have our actors, we have our backstage. It's kind of like running a theater program, stage show, and camp at the same time. So we brag, we have way better than most ratios of camps. We have 1-to-4 staff to kid ratio because we have so many diverse needs. But everyone at camp is also trained to be a counselor so that that actor, if there's a moment where the kids need a comfort or have like immersed themselves too strongly, they are not there just to entertain. They are there to help engage. And so they can drop their character and come into a counselor role anytime they need to. And so this amazing collaborative team of folks who are there because they believe in the power of stories to teach. They believe in the community that comes through LARP. We're all moving in the same direction. And it's just incredible to watch these kids who started as campers, who became CITs, counselors in training, who then became counselors, working side by side with me and other like 40, 50-year-old educators who come to camp because it's the one place we get full control on how we teach. We want to teach through found educational moments instead of by whatever book or structure the school systems are telling us. And so we bring in so many educators, we bring in so many role players and so many nerds of every shape and size.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about your background, Chris, and how this whole camp came to be.
Once upon a time, because that's how great stories begin, I grew up in Alabama and Georgia, and I wanted to be a storyteller. My parents could not stop me from picking up dating myself here, the old talk boy from Home Alone movies.
Oh, yeah.
I've recorded all of my stories, and I thought I was going to become an actor. I thought that was my path. Moved up north to try and do roles in movie sets and theater, following some of my friends. And through that process, I found this little camp that was taking its first steps as a overnight camp. And they were doing role-playing with kids. So I got to sword fight and play with kids and tell a story. I was like, this is it. I didn't know this existed as a career. This is now my career. So that was back in 2008. I worked my way up to being a camp director within a couple of years, met my wife at camp, actually got married at the same campsite where we met each other. So my whole life had been leading to this moment of getting to be an entertainer of children and getting to teach through LARP and teach through these stories. So I can tell you all the little hurdles that I had along the way, but everything pointed me in this direction. I always wanted to work with kids. I always wanted to tell stories. I always wanted to sword fight.
Yeah. Were you a LARPer beforehand, or was it just through education and those experiences that you were enlightened to what this was?
No, the closest thing I had to LARP is my specialty as an actor was stage combat. I loved doing sword fights on stage. And so I was teaching a summer camp program that was stage combat for kids when another kid was telling me about this LARP camp. So I'm a little spoiled. I've never had to LARP with adults. I've only LARPed with children, and I got to imagine they're the best LARPers there is because they live that imagination so much.
You don't have to teach them the rules of improvisation.
No, they got it.
You don't have to teach them yes and. They got it from the beginning. You tell them the world, and they're committed right from the beginning.
Yeah, so I had no formal experience in LARP, just in telling stories in theater.
Amazing. You mentioned sword play,
Yeah.
and I imagine if a parent is watching, they say, "Oh no, not my nerdy kid picking up a sword." But you have a full guide on what foam swords are acceptable, and tell me a little bit about safety within this world.
Yeah. We have 3 structures that have to be met for camp to run: safety, fun, and education. And they have to go in that order. You cannot start having fun until you have a balance of safety to start from. You cannot teach a kid who's not enjoying themselves. So they have to go in that order. So our safety, because we know we do play violence, we know we're doing pretend acts of taking out monsters, is very based in, we like to say to the kids, monsters are people too. And if you make the monster upset, he's not going to play with you anymore.
Right.
So you have to swing below the shoulders. It's a game of tag. It's not a game of trying to actually slice through. And because they have so many powers where they can touch somebody and then say a command, it's not about how hard you hit. It's how many creatures you're able to hit. So the kids are going more for speed and versatility inside their battle rather than the actual power of their swing. And you get these amazing moments where some of the kids who come in with like a sports background, you got to pull back some of like, it's not a baseball bat, we're not doing that. And some of the kids who've never, ever like held any piece of sports equipment before has that kind of nervous first moments of hitting. So one of the things we do to help them test their safety, because we love doing things in story, we tell them in order to be an effective sword fighter, you have to make a ripple, not a splash when you hit your opponent. And we set up this training that's just a bucket of water sitting on a platform, and the kids have to come up and attack the bucket pretending it's a monster. They get to visually see on their hits, is the water splashing too much, or is it making just a little bit of a ripple? And so you give them this external focus, and they suddenly go from either timid or too strong into everybody's doing the same attacks. And our swords, we make sure like the kids want to bring in their own homemade swords. They want to bring in all these things they want to do. You can have anything that's a prop that's not going to break on your person, but all the swords have to be ones that we've approved of. They have to be safe, flexible, foam, and hit at a rate that is not going to hurt the 8-year-old next to you.
And it's really interesting because on one of my previous episodes, I had a fabulous consultant for theater. Her name is Kira Choilo, and she was talking about, she does EDI consulting in the arts and talking about boundaries. And my question for her was, well, when you're setting up so many boundaries, does it take away from the fun in the moment and the improvisation? And her reaction was, no, it frees you more, because once you know how you can attack someone or how you can approach someone, then you don't have to worry about if they're comfortable or not. You've established those rules from the beginning, so then it's just fair play.
Yeah, we like to tell the kids out of character on their first day of check-in what you need to make a game. And the kids come with all these, like, it's got to be fun, got to be all these things. And usually one kid catches it pretty early. It is a set of rules that everybody agrees to follow. And as soon as you have buy-in, as soon as you know that you are playing the same way that I'm playing, you can relax and have so much more fun because you're not anxious over, okay, if I hit this person, are they going to hit me too hard? Like, what? Everybody's agreed on the same rules. And so as soon as you have those boundaries, and in some cases, kids need this, especially we work with a lot of neurodivergent campers at camp. I like to say the nerd circle and the neurodivergent circle are just overlapping.
Yeah.
We call them neurodivergent. But we give them structures and boundaries so that they can then use their creativity inside of there. Because if someone tells you, be creative, it gives you nothing else to do.
No.
Oh, yeah, you freeze up. You're like, I'm a fish. But when you say, okay, here are the rules of the game, here's what you have to operate inside of, but you can do anything you want inside of there, suddenly, oh, yeah, okay, I know what to do now.
So you told me about sort of parts of the day. We start with breakfast, the bell rings, and then Is it a free-for-all? You know, you say you have counselors that are and storytellers that are working every night to continue crafting and scripting where the journey goes, and there's all these different places and activities. How is it all structured to then bring people together for big battles and different things? How does it all...
So like a day in the life of camp.
Yeah, give me a day in the life.
So let's do Monday, because I think Monday is one of the more interesting days. So Sunday is check-in. I went through, you walk through the book gate, you step into the world. We have an opening campfire. I have this wonderful prop, this book, but when you open it, lights up, and it's like you are starting a new chapter. Everybody's like, yeah. Monday, they get to start out of character, have their breakfast, talk about all their plans for the day. And then we ask them to go put their costumes on. They get to do some sword fight warm-ups. And then someone in full character garb comes out with this bell or gong and rings it. And everybody, all right, where are we? What do we do? So Monday starts with you choosing a chapter house, choosing what you're going to be, rogue, fighter, healer, alchemist, all those wonderful places where you put the educational elements in. They go to the chapter house. They bond with friends who also want to be rogues, who also want to be fighters. They learn their first lesson. They build their first spell packet. They put the first wrapping on their sword to show that they are these powerful warriors. Then they go out and adventure. Like all these chapter houses, we need help. We need to find out, like, where are the magic crystals to fill up your spell packet? Where are the stones we can use to hone your sword? And through that first day of traveling as a chapter house, they get to encounter monsters and creatures, and each creature tells them a little bit more of the story, and they start getting hints of, this creature was talking about this kid in green flying around. Well, the guy I met was talking about someone with a hook hand who was like looking for them. And they slowly go, oh, this is Peter Pan. This is the story that we're doing. Okay, we know that now. We go to lunch. After lunch, we ask them, how do you want to travel in the world? Which of our orders, our nightly orders, do you want to join? They pick their order. So now they have identity as their career, fighter, mage, alchemist, healer. Then they choose their identity as a group. What community do I want to be a part of? And as soon as they have both of those together, then we turn them loose. Say, okay, you know that this is Peter Pan. We got to find out what went wrong with the story and fix it. My Order of Foxes, we need you to explore. My Order of Kraken, we need you to decipher this puzzle. Order of Swans, please go talk to these pirates and find out what they want here. And Order of the Bees, you got to make sure all those wonderful sea creatures that are causing havoc are taken care of. And they go out in this world. You get to travel with your party.
And everyone's having such different experiences.
Yes.
When they go back to their bunkhouse at the end of the night, they're, well, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and each one is better than the other one. It must be so cool.
It is, and then from there,
coming back year after year too.
Not just that, day after day. One of the hardest parts of camp is homesickness. Is having somebody who, like, one day in realizes this is not my house, this is not familiar, and they start worrying. And because the story, like, every day is a cliffhanger, you can use that to help motivate, because you can't get rid of homesickness. What you do is you make the joy bigger, make the fun bigger than what they're experiencing.
And make their importance to the story validating too. We need you for this. Without another alchemist, we're not going to have the power that we need to do this. Oh, I am sold.
They feel, I strongly believe that kids need free things to really be free, to discover themselves and be who they want to be. They need autonomy. They need to feel like they have choice in the matter. They need progress. They need someone or something externally to validate what they're doing and how far they've come. And they need belonging. They need a community. And so because the story is open-ended, they have autonomy. Because they level up at their chapter houses, they have progress. And because we let them choose their nightly order, they get that sense of community. And from there, you see 8-year-olds who the first day of camp were kind of cowering, didn't know what to do, leading the battle charge. Go fight Captain Hook. He's mine. Leave him alive for me. You have these 17-year-olds who maybe have been told, like, that level of pretend and imagination and role play is not for them. Seeing other kids their age relax and get to just be and exist and know that the next year you could come back and teach other people how to do this. And it's amazing to watch all these kids progress and go through. And they tell you a really quick story. One of my favorite moments of camp. We had a 8-year-old coming to camp. She was brand new. She'd never been to camp before. And I like to tell parents, we're, an outdoor camp for indoor kids. It's really easy for them to kind of, we do more glamping, it storms, all these things. But despite all that, she still was having a bit of trouble, like, buying into the game and encountering these monsters and creatures. So my team did an amazing job where we set up this encounter. We have this black box theater space we like to call the shifting caverns. Changes every day. You never know what's going to be in there until you open the door. We set up the arch villain of the entire world inside there, monologuing, telling every aspect of his plan. And this hero had been defeated. And in our world, once you're defeated, put your sword over your head and you become a ghost walker. You're still able to see, hear, and interact without talking, but nobody can hit you anymore. You are a ghost. And she asked to go back inside there because as a ghost, nobody could attack her. Mm-hmm. And so we set it up. She went inside. I was playing the villain this time. I pulled from every single 80s cartoon, like it's Skeletor, it's Mumra, it's all these like, I'm going to get you heroes, all these wonderful things. And so I'm just monologuing. And I don't even know when she's left. I'm just going until someone tells me to stop and reveal all my plans just to her. And then I hear the door close. And then I hear the radio call. You will not believe the smile on this girl's face. She was exposing our plans to everybody. Suddenly,
she had the power.
She was the most important character
at the knowledge.
And so you have these amazing moments where every kid at camp gets this hero moment where they feel centered. They feel like they're the most important character there. And that's what I live for. I want every kid to feel like they are capable of so much because they are. And the world will often tell you, you can't do that. Or they'll give you that vague, you're special, but not tell you how. And our camp lets you live in this fantasy world so that everything is an option, so you can discover through experimentation what actually makes you important, what actually is the driving force behind you, what do you want to do? And we'll have kids leave camp so empowered, they go off to become their own teachers, their own educators. They step up inside class. We have parents telling us all the time, where did she learn this confidence? Like, well, she defeated Skeletor at camp. Like, that's what it was.
It's so beautiful. It's like, why am I choked up right now and crying? It's awesome. It's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like to think so.
Please share with our audience where they can find out more information about the Story School and Camp Fable.
Excellent. You can find all of our information on our website, thestoryschool.org. All of our handles are at YouTube. It's at the Story School Camp. Instagram is at the Story School Camp. TikTok is at the Story School Camp. You can search us through Camp Fable, Camp Grimoire. But I really encourage everybody who has not seen us before, head over to YouTube to see the camp in action. It's really hard to describe what camp looks like and what camp feels like. We've got testimonials, we've got battles, we show you everything the camp is there. And then head over to our website and check out our new heroes page so you can see what it would be like if you joined our camp.
Chris, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I could talk about camp all day.
Amazing. And, why am I crying on a show about LARPing? Who am I? What's become of me? It just shows how important the arts are and how important giving your children opportunities to grow and thrive and whatever their interests are, whether it's the arts or sports or whatever it is, find that place where they belong. It's incredible. That brings me to the end of another episode of Arts for the Masses. Whether you're another LARPing group, come on in here, bring your costumes. We're on a roll now. Or if you're a theater group, an opera group, I still need puppeteers. I know you're out there. Please bring your puppeteers in here. I know Drawbridge Theater. I know you're coming back from Florida or wherever you went. You better get your butts in here. And that brings us to the end of Arts for the Masses. I'm Ryan Malyar, and thank you for tuning in.